From the tiniest allay to a TNT anxiety machine, here are the greatest Minecraft experiments. This is a circle of fireballs. To make it, you rotate an armor stand while summoning fireballs in the direction it's facing. As the armor stand spins, the fireballs appear one by one, forming a perfect ring. It's incredibly satisfying watching the circle complete, and if you punch just one of the fireballs, it sends the entire ring flying. What happens if you try to craft with negative items? In version 1.8, if you take an item out of a chest at the exact moment the chest explodes, you can actually create a negative item. Using this glitch, I made negative sticks and diamonds, put them into a crafting table, and somehow it still crafts into a completely normal diamond pickaxe. I basically just scammed Minecraft. When you place two campfires side by side, there's actually a tiny gap between them. So can you fit through it? If you shrink yourself using the scale attribute command and try to squeeze through, you'll find the space between the campfires is actually completely solid, and you can't pass at all. You can even stand on the invisible part between the logs, which just shows that the hitbox isn't very precise. If you give an allay an emerald and shrink it down to 0.1 scale, it becomes microscopic, but it still holds the emerald in its hand. Now drop a few emeralds on the ground. Even at that tiny size, the allay will still search for them, pick them up, and bring them back to you. When it throws the items to you, they come out at full normal size, like nothing ever changed. If you spawn a ton of axolotls right above an end portal, something really strange happens. Because the end dimension isn't loaded, all the axolotls get teleported to the exact same coordinates and stack on top of each other. So when you finally go through the portal, they all cause a huge explosion of axolotls everywhere, along with a super weird burst of sounds. Check this out! You can literally make a sword out of swords. Using item displays, you can summon a bunch of sword items and line them up. With enough of them, it looks like one giant sword made entirely out of smaller swords. Or if you're lazy, you can just summon one giant item display to make a massive sword instantly. What do you think happens if I place a redstone block here? The slime blocks on either side would try to pull the redstone block in two different directions at the same time. When you place it, something strange happens. Instead of choosing one side, the two pistons actually take turns pulling the slime block back and forth. Can a frog eat an invincible slime? First, I tested it by giving a slime max regeneration, absorption, and resistance effects. This basically makes the slime impossible to kill by normal means, but the frog can still just swallow it whole without any problem. However, what did work was summoning a slime with the invulnerable attribute. When I did that, the frogs couldn't eat it at all and just kept hopping past it. He would win 100 baby villagers or the warden. You'd think the warden wins easily, but watch what happens. When you spawn the baby villagers in, they all fall into the warden's pit and pile on top of it. Instead of fighting, they use entity cramming to slowly crush the warden to death. The weird thing is that the baby villagers don't kill each other from cramming, but the warden does die from it. So somehow 100 baby villagers can defeat the strongest mob in the game. If you increase your full damage multiplier by 1 million times, even dropping off a 4-block ledge will instantly kill you. But it gets even weirder. Normally you can fall 3 blocks without taking any damage at all. If you set your safe fall distance to 0, that safety disappears completely. Even the tiniest drop now hurts you. Walking off something as tiny as a carpet or even a single candle will hurt you. And if you try to jump even once, you just die instantly. Can a frog eat a slime through lava? I tested it and nope. Even if the slime is right on the other side, the frog won't eat it through lava. So how about through water? That actually works. The frog just swims over and eats the slime normally. Okay, what about a 1-block air gap? Surprisingly, that doesn't work either. The frog won't jump the gap and it won't try to eat the slime at all. For a frog to eat a slime, it has to be able to walk right up to it. This machine gives me anxiety! The pistons push the TNT and the redstone blocks at the exact same time, and they miss each other by literally a single tick. Then there's this version where the TNT gets shuffled in a circle, constantly sliding past the redstone block that's right next to it. And this one is even worse. The TNT dodges 4 redstone blocks at the exact same time, perfectly timed every cycle. It looks like it should blow up every second, but somehow it never does. Normally, a skulk sensor detects sound, sends that signal to a skulk shrieker, and the shrieker summons the warden. So, what happens if the border gets in the way? If you put the skulk sensor inside the world border, but have the shrieker outside of it, the sensor won't relay any sound at all. The shrieker never activates, and the warden doesn't spawn. But if you swap them and put the shrieker inside the border and the sensor outside, it works. The sensor still sends a signal across the border, the shrieker activates, and the warden spawns like normal. Can dripstone make an end crystal explode? You might expect it to work, since falling dripstone can damage mobs, but when you drop pointed dripstone onto an end crystal, it just passes straight through and nothing happens. Even if you drop an anvil, it simply falls into the crystal. Sand and gravel behave similarly and just stack on top, so it looks like falling block entities can't explode the end crystal. This is the simplest 3x2 piston door. It only uses a few pistons, observers, and redstone dust. There are a couple more parts hidden underground, but the whole build is still really simple. To use it, just click the note block. One click opens the door, and the next click closes it. I love it! Can just 0.1 blocks of a ladder save you from falling in Minecraft? I placed a ladder and then covered almost all of it with a shulker, so only 0.1 blocks were visible. Then I jumped from high up, and somehow survived. So what about 0.001 blocks? You can barely even see the ladder at that point, but when you land on it, you still survive. Even at an insanely tiny amount, when the ladder looks completely hidden behind the shulker, as long as even a sliver of the ladder's hitbox is still exposed, it counts and cancels your fall damage. The ladder only stops working once the shulker fully covers it. This is hypnosis in Minecraft. Get a spiral map art and put it in an item frame. Now stare at it and right-click. The map starts spinning in circles and it feels super trippy. It honestly feels like it's making you dizzy. Oh wait, I actually have the nausea effect. Ugh! What would win? A chestplate with 1,000,000 armor or a sword with 1,000,000 damage? I tested it by wearing the chestplate and giving a zombie the insane sword. The moment it hit me, I got one shot. This is because if you look at the armor bar, it still only shows 20 armor points, even with 1,000,000 armor chestplate. That means the game hard caps how much armor can actually protect you. So this chestplate just works like a normal full set of diamond armor. This is what it looks like if you increase your block breaking speed 1,000,000 times. Now you can insta-mine everything. Dirt, stone, beacons, even obsidian, all with your bare fist. It's insanely satisfying just shredding through blocks like they're nothing. And if you dig straight down, you break blocks so fast that you'll eventually take full damage from dropping through the holes you just mined before you even hit the ground. Which of these mobs will hunt fastest? If you put the same number of each prey mob on identical tracks and release the hunters at the same time, you'd expect one to dominate. But the results are weird. The Iron Golem, Vindicator, and even the Cat all finish at roughly the same time. Meanwhile, the Wolf is by far the slowest, taking almost twice as long as the others. What happens if you enter a nether portal that's outside the world border? Will it send you outside the border in the nether too? I tested it. The first time, the portal completely ignored where I was and sent me to a safe spot inside the world border in the nether, where it was allowed to generate. Then I shrunk the world border to the smallest possible size of one block and tried again. Even though my portal was placed way outside the border, the nether portal still generated inside the border. So no matter how far outside you build your portal, when you enter it, the game will always place another portal inside the world border. These are some illegal mob combinations. Iron Golems actively hunt down pillagers and ravagers, so you can spawn a golem riding a ravager. The golem will quickly kill it though. Or you can even spawn a giant zombie on top of a very tiny bat. I don't know how the bat's even holding up with the fatty on him, but something even stranger is putting a creeper on top of a cat. That creeper won't be very happy. Why do the wolves only ever attack the black sheep? No matter how many times you try, it always goes for the black one. So are wolves racist? Turns out it has nothing to do with color. Since both sheep are the same distance away, the wolf simply targets whichever sheep is positioned in the north direction. So wolves aren't racist, they'll just choose the northmost mob first. Will an upside down zombie drown in water? Set up 2 water tanks like this and name them dinner bone so they flip upside down. In the first tank, the zombie's head looks underwater, but it doesn't drown. In the second tank, the upside down zombie does turn into a drowned, even though its head looks like it's out of the water. So what's going on? Even though a zombie named Dinnerbone looks upside down, its hitbox doesn't flip. The game still thinks its head is in the normal position. So drowning is based on the hitbox position, not what you actually see. Creepers are terrified of cats, so who would win? 100 cats or a single creeper? Well, if you spawn them all in a tight area, the creeper will start panicking and running around. However, if you walk near the creeper, it will overcome its fear of cats and blow everything up! The curse of vanishing enchantment makes your items disappear on death. But what if you have keep inventory enabled? Well, it turns out the item has to actually drop for it to vanish. So if you die with keep inventory enabled, you'll still keep your curse of vanishing items. Will the world border stop the redstone signal? It can stop you from walking through, but it can't stop redstone. If you put a lever on one side of the world border and TNT on the other, then flip the lever, the redstone signal still travels across the border and blows it up. Okay, what if the redstone line goes out of the world border, then comes back in? Flip the lever and then the TNT still activates like nothing is wrong. So the world border can block players, but not redstone and TNT. If you try to build an iron golem underwater, you'll find it doesn't work because there are water blocks in the way. However, if you build a snow golem underwater, it'll actually work. What about lighting a nether portal? Well, that obviously won't work since flint and steel doesn't work down here. But if you try an end portal, it'll actually activate underwater. Since falling sand can bounce off slime blocks, you can actually set up a tennis match using pistons. 2 piston setups push slime blocks back and forth, and the sand just keeps bouncing between them forever. forever. I don't think anyone's winning this match anytime soon, though. Is it possible to launch sand above the height limit? I built a simple TNT cannon to fire a block of sand onto a platform, but when the sand reaches the height limit, it doesn't stay as a block. It instantly breaks and turns into an item. Can projectiles travel past the world border in Minecraft? Trying things like eggs or snowballs just makes them crack when they hit it. Even arrows or a trident will simply bounce right off the border. However, in older versions before 1.21.2, projectiles could actually pass straight through the world border like it wasn't even there. If a goat charges into an end crystal, will it explode? Well, if you place an end crystal and drop an armor stand on top, then wait for a goat to charge, the goat completely ignores the crystal and only rams the armor stand. Even if you stack multiple armor stands inside the end crystal, the goat will still only hit the single entity it originally locked onto. Once a goat picks its target, nothing else matters. Fine, I'll blame it myself! This is an allay IQ test. Can the allay solve a maze and find the items? If you put emeralds in the center and give an allay an emerald, it will actually solve the maze using the shortest path. You can make the maze even bigger too. Allays can detect items up to 32 blocks away, so you can hide an item 32 blocks deep and the allay will still navigate the maze perfectly. It's way smarter than it looks. If you strike a villager with lightning, it turns into a witch. But what happens if a baby villager gets struck by lightning? Turns out the baby villager just grows straight into an adult witch. That's so cursed! What happens if you cure a zombie villager that's wearing armor? You might expect the armor to stay, but it doesn't. The moment the villager is cured, the armor completely disappears. To test if the villager is wearing armor, you can hit the cured villager with a netherite sword. It still takes 3 hits to kill, which is the same as any normal villager, so the armor has disappeared. And if you turn that villager back into a zombie, the armor is still missing. Endermen can normally dodge projectiles, but can they dodge a warden's sonic boom? If you trap an enderman near a warden, the warden will get angrier and angrier until he sonic booms the enderman. You'll see those blue particles fire out from its chest, but the enderman doesn't dodge it at all. That's because the sonic boom isn't a normal projectile. It directly targets the mob, goes through blocks, and lands instantly, so there's nothing for the enderman to teleport away from. This is what shooting fireworks with multi-shot level 1 looks like, which is normally the limit in survival, but with commands, you can go way higher. Here's multi-shot level 5. You can already see way more fireworks firing at once. This is level 20. Now the fireworks start spreading out in a wide fan, and at the max level of 255, it turns into a perfect glowing ring of fireworks exploding outward. The firework explosion sounds at the end are so satisfying. End crystals placed in obsidian in the end dimension burn forever, but if water touches it, the flame actually does get extinguished. Then as soon as you remove the water, it instantly lights back up again. What's even stranger is that pouring lava on the end crystal also puts the fire out too. Can I fly using 100 parrots? Parrots love to fly, so this has to work, right? I attached the parrots to leads and jumped off a cliff. You'll unfortunately just fall like normal when you do this. You can, however, trick your friends by using a slow falling potion and showing this off. Iron golems are supposed to protect villagers, but will an iron golem hit zombie villagers? The golem is perfectly fine with the villagers, but once you spawn in some zombie villagers, the golem will instantly attack them. Honestly, it's kind of sad how the golem has to attack his fallen villagers. Will this enchanting table work underwater? You'd probably expect it not to because the water is blocking the bookshelves, and in older versions of Minecraft, that was actually true. The water would interfere and you'd only get low-level enchantments, but in the 1.20 update, this was changed. Water no longer blocks the connection between the enchanting table and the bookshelves, so now you can fully enchant your gear underwater and still get max-level enchants. There's a bit of creepers below, but if you drop a cat down in the middle, they all run away and create a huge bubble around it. You can name this cat your friend's name to joke how everybody avoids him. Something really funny you can do is leash an iron golem to a fence post, then start attacking villagers. The iron golem will be furious and try to get you like a dog tied on a leash. Ha ha, you can't hurt me! Can you grow a pumpkin into an iron golem to spawn it? While it sounds like it could work, it's actually impossible for 2 reasons. First, pumpkins can't grow on top of iron blocks at all. And second, even if they did, the pumpkin that grows would just be a regular one, whereas an iron golem can only be created with a carved pumpkin. When pointed dripstone falls, a single block can deal up to 40 damage to mobs and players. So, how many would it take to kill the ender dragon? Since the dragon has 200 hearts, you'd think just 6 falling dripstones would do the trick. But if we test it, nothing happens. The dripstone just falls straight through the dragon's body without dealing any damage at all. And honestly, it makes sense. The ender dragon can fly through blocks and even destroy them. So why would a pointy rock be any different? Instead of just digging one void hole, why not dig 2? Because by doing so, you can fly beneath one of them and straight into another. Your friends will think you're crazy flying down there, but you'll just be headed towards your secret base. Who would would win, 1,000 pillagers or a single wither? The battle starts with the wither attacking, and the pillagers swarm to bring it down, even lowering its health a bit. But there's a problem. The pillagers are hurting each other, while the wither keeps regenerating. In the end, the wither wipes out all the pillagers and wins. The totem of undying is meant to save you from death, but does it work in the void? Jump in and nope, you'll still die. Flying too fast into a wall with an elytra usually causes damage. But what happens if you crash into these different blocks? Fly into cobwebs and you'll safely get caught. Slime blocks, which normally bounce you, still cause collision damage. One layer of powdered snow makes you take damage, but making it 3 layers will actually catch you. Water, as expected, saves you, and surprisingly, so does lava. Will skulk spread past the world border? If you drop some mobs down, at first it'll seem like the skulk isn't spreading, but the skulk is actually being stored. Once you increase the world border size, the catalyst activates, converting nearby blocks to skulk. To make it even more satisfying, drop a bunch of zombies from the sky, then expand the border and watch the skulk spread across your world. But that's not as strange as these grids of trees. If you create a world in 20W28A, all birch forest biomes would generate trees in this strange grid-like pattern. Flip the first lever and it pushes a single slime block. Flip the next one and now 12 slime blocks move at once. But if you try to activate this giant layer of slime blocks, the piston won't budge. It's simply too many blocks to push. However, if you use a mod that raises the piston push limit, you can move the entire massive structure at once, and it looks incredible. This is an illegal Minecraft illusion. These torches are off the grid. To create this effect, place item frames between blocks like so, then replace them with a falling block torch entity. Finish the design by adding stair blocks between the torches, and you've got your illusion. Can you look in an Enderman's eye while using a spyglass? Nope, the Enderman will still get angry at you. Can a wolf teleport over the world border? The world border normally can't be crossed, and even if you use cheats to go over, you can't really place any blocks or do anything. If you swap back to survival mode here, you'll start taking damage. But what about a tamed wolf? Will it teleport to you if you go outside the border? The answer is yes! And the best part, mobs don't take border damage. So while you're slowly dying, your fluffy little buddy will be completely fine. If you drop a dripstone onto a villager standing in cobweb, the cobweb will actually save the villager. But that's not the only block that can protect the villager. Place a villager in powdered snow, and it somehow protects it from dripstone damage as well. How about sugarcane? Nope, the villager dies this time. Okay, what if a villager is swimming in water? Yep, water will protect the villager from dripstone. Can you craft using debug sticks? You can make a simple ladder with just 7 sticks. However, if you try doing so with debug sticks, it actually doesn't work. The reason why is simple. Although the debug stick looks like an enchanted stick, it's not. It just shares the same texture, but it has its entirely separate item ID. How many layers of tinted glass can we actually see through? With 1 layer, it's no problem. The fire on the other side is still glowing bright. At 2 layers, it's a little foggier, but still not too bad. By the time we stack 4 layers, the fire is starting to fade into the shadows. At 6, you can still barely see the fire at the other side. Once you reach 8 layers, you can very faintly see the fire pixels moving. Finally, at 9 layers, the fire is gone, completely swallowed up by darkness. Will you survive falling onto powdered snow while wearing leather boots? Normally, powdered snow negates fall damage because you sink through it, but leather boots allow you to walk on top. So, what happens if you fall into it? Just take the leap and yep, you actually survive. What happens if you shoot a crossbow with multi-shot 255? Normally, multi-shot only lets you fire 3 arrows at once, but if you use commands to push it higher, things get crazy. At level 2, the bow fires 5 arrows. Level 3 bumps it up to 7. Keep going, and by level 10, you're firing 21 arrows all around you. Push it to level 100, and suddenly you've got a perfect ring of arrows circling out from your bow. And finally, if you max it out at multi-shot 255, you unleash an insane storm of arrows, 511 of them, forming a dazzling circle pattern that completely floods your screen. Which bed will the villager choose? Set the time to night and the villager will run towards the soul sand bed first. But if we rotate the setup, it'll actually head to a different bed. The villager seems to always be choosing the bed that's northmost. Normally, tipped arrows give off potion particles based on their effect, but spectral arrows are different. They leave behind a glowing firework trail when shot. So if you fire a ton of them into the same spot, then set off TNT to explode them all at once, you get a huge sparkling particle cloud. Basically a supercharged firework. Can you light a portal underwater? Start by building the frame, but when you try to light it, nothing happens. How about using a dispenser? Still no luck. To light a portal underwater, you'll need to use a sponge and light the portal before the water collapses in. Did you know you can cycle through different blocks with a single piston? piston. You see, the falling sand gets caught by the powdered snow and pushed back to the top of the cycle by the slime block. This can be expanded to create an animated pixel art that cycles through the different sand layers. It looks so cool! If you glitch on top of the nether roof, it'll be a barren wasteland. However, on a 1.16 snapshot, crimson trees actually generated up here, so you could build tools and even a nice house. But what's even crazier is this negative durability item. You can /give yourself an item with negative durability, and the red bar will go across your screen. If you set the item durability to the negative integer limit, using it once will make the durability roll over and be completely new. Previously, I said that this chessboard was made using the immersive Portals mod, but I found a way to create it in vanilla Minecraft. Using block displays, you're able to create tiny blocks, and I was able to create this board. Theoretically, functional chess pieces can be made as well from the block displays, but I'll leave that up to the pro command blockers to add. Everyone knows that spiders are able to climb walls, but have you ever wondered if they're able to climb the world border? The border isn't a physical block, rather. It just prevents you from walking any further. However, spiders are actually able to climb up the border, so you won't be safe building up here. A fox attacks a chicken, and a wolf attacks a fox. But what happens if a wolf is protecting the chicken? Spawn them all in, and the fox and wolf will fight it out, with the wolf eventually saving the chicken. But what if the wolf and chicken are in a boat? This time the fox leaps past the wolf and takes down the chicken. This is a water loop. Made from glass, soul sand, blue ice, and water, you can drop tons of items into the top and watch them twirl around in an endless cycle. It's incredibly satisfying to watch. For a cleaner look, you can even replace the glass with barriers. What happens if you give a witch a totem of undying? At first, the witch will hold it just fine, but the moment you damage her, she instantly swaps to a potion of healing, and the totem just disappears. That means you can kill her without the totem ever saving her. Now, dolphins are different. If you give one a totem, it immediately drops it, letting you finish it off. But there's a trick. You can summon a dolphin with no AI, and then it won't drop the totem at all. The witch, though, is stubborn, even with no AI. If you damage her, she still swaps to a healing potion instead of using the totem. So the only way to actually make a witch pop a totem is to kill her in one single hit. Will I survive if these arrows fall on me while I'm sleeping? I went into the bed and replaced the blocks above me with air, letting the arrows drop. Turns out they just kick you out of bed, and you barely lose any hearts. And what about tridents? I went to bed, the tridents fell, and nothing. No damage at all, and I slept right through the night. Okay, TNT has to do the trick, right? I dropped primed TNT above me while sleeping, but somehow didn't lose a single heart. Will the Riptide enchantment work inside a cauldron? Normally, the Riptide enchant lets you launch yourself with a trident, but it only activates if you're in water or if it's raining. So, what happens if you stand in a cauldron filled with water? After filling it up and stepping inside, you'll notice you can't actually pull back the trident. Okay, but what if you charge the trident while standing in water, then step into the cauldron before releasing it? Unfortunately, that still doesn't work. Riptide just won't activate in a cauldron. When you slept with blocks on top of you, your sleeping position would just move to the ground next to the bed. However, this has since been fixed, and now you can't enter the bed and get an error message. However, by exchanging the full blocks for something like an enchanting table, you can still enter the bed and you'll see books floating above while you sleep. Can a bee lift up an iron golem? Just use a lead to attach the iron golem to the bee. At first, it seems like the bee can't fly, but if you lure it into the air with a flower, you'll see it carrying the entire golem skyward. You can even attach multiple golems, and the tiny bee will somehow carry all those heavy golems. Look at this cat! It's completely missing a leg! In this snapshot, cats all spawned with only 3 legs. Although it looks pretty goofy, the cat still walked around like normal, and died like normal too. Using commands, you can place down only the top or bottom parts of a bed, but can villagers still sleep in them? Surprisingly, villagers can go to sleep with only the top half of the bed, but not with the bottom. You can even place blocks like lava, bedrock, ice, and a grindstone below the top bed block to create some painful designs. What's even cooler is that the player is able to enter the top parts of these beds just like the villagers. What happens if you drown a zombie villager, zombified piglin, and husk? Will they turn them into a drowned? At first, nothing seems to happen, but after a while, the husk transforms into a regular zombie, and then eventually into a drowned. Meanwhile, the zombie villager and zombified piglin are completely unfazed by the water. They just keep swimming around. This fight will never end. Dispensers with skulk sensors are positioned to shoot at each other. They'll keep taking turns firing snowballs and activating each other's sensors. To make sure the fight keeps going, you can even summon snowball items to funnel into the dispensers. Although frogs can't walk past past the world border, they're able to stick their tongue out through it to eat a magma cube. When you pull this lever, it activates a command that creates an endless stream of experience orbs, basically turning it into an infinite XP fountain. The orbs shoot out from the tip of the lever and float toward you, following wherever you move. As soon as you start collecting them, you'll hear that classic XP chime over and over, and it's insanely satisfying. But if you let the fountain run too long, the orbs begin piling up and might cause you to crash. When you finish a raid, you'll get the hero of the village effect for killing all the pillagers, but Minecraft lets you do something cursed. You can slash affect the pillagers around you to have the hero of the village effect, which is faster, mycelium or grass. The race begins, and both grass and mycelium quickly spread past the bedrock, but once they hit the water obstacle, they both get stuck. So I have to add an alternate dirt path for them to keep going. They finally reach the finish line, and grass takes the win! But here's the catch. Grass and mycelium actually grow at the same random pace, so this race was really just a battle of luck. Torches need a supporting block, or else it'll break. But what if the support block is another torch? To make this cursed design, just place 2 torches on a wall and use a debug stick on them until they're both against each other. You can now update blocks around the torch and they still won't break. Don't go near this creeper. It may seem completely normal, but it's not. It was summoned with a custom explosion radius, and when you go near it, it'll cause a nuclear explosion. You can use these supercharged creepers to blow up entire villages. If you give an Enderman frost walker boots, will it walk on water? Using commands, you can spawn an Enderman with frost walker boots. Then if you look it in the eyes while surrounded by water, it'll charge at you, running right across the water. It's pretty terrifying because it feels like this should not be possible. What happens if you splash a slime or magma cube with a jump boost 100 potion? Once the potion hits, the slime rockets high into the sky, far higher than normal. When it comes crashing back down, it splats apart into smaller slimes. If you summon a minecart on top of an axolotl and then hop in, it may seem really slow at first, but once you let the axolotl enter the water, you'll realize it's quite fast. Now, if you summon a boat on top of an axolotl, you can actually steer the boat while it's on top of the axolotl. Unfortunately, it won't control where the axolotl is going, but it's so funny to look at. What's the maximum amount of experience you can get in survival? The number is roughly 238 million levels. Once you hit it, your XP bar will disappear, not letting you get any more. You're definitely one of the best Minecrafters if this happens to you. However, there's a way to get more. Commands can be used to set your XP to the integer limit, and if you collect even a single more point of experience, your level will roll back to 0. No! All my hard work! Falling onto a bed will reduce your fall damage, but what if there's a carpet on top? Let's test it out. Jump down and yep, you still take less fall damage. The same goes for hay bales, slime blocks, and honey. But what about a campfire? Will the carpet protect you from the flames? Surprisingly, yes, you won't get burned. But wait, can a carpet shield you from a magma block? Nope, you'll still take damage. It's all so inconsistent! Will a trident whirlpool work? By placing water blocks 7 blocks away from the center, you can create a whirlpool that spins mobs and items. But if you dig out the middle and place soul sand blocks at the bottom to create a bubble stream, will you be able to make a trident whirlpool? Well, tridents are affected by soul sand. They won't spin like dropped items do. Who would win, 100 killer bunnies or 100 wolves? Normally, rabbits are helpless against wolves, but summon a killer rabbit and it'll fight back. Just spawn the bunnies and wolves, then open the barrier to start the battle. You'll quickly see it's not even close. The wolves dominate. But what about 200 killer bunnies versus 100 wolves? This time when the barrier drops, the fight is much closer. The wolves put up a strong fight, but in the end, the bunnies take the win. If 2 dinnerbone sheep are bred, will the baby sheep be upside down as well? I tried it. However, the baby ended up spawning just like normal. This is because name tags don't transfer when breeding mobs. However, if you kill a parent slime, the dinnerbone name tag will transfer to the baby slimes. How far can a llama actually spit? From 5 blocks away, it'll easily hit you. Move back to 10 blocks, and it still lands the shot. Even at 15 blocks, the llama somehow nails you again. But once you step back to 16 blocks away, you're finally out of range. The llama won't spit at all. Looks like 15 blocks is the maximum. Start by placing 4 water source blocks so that all the streams flow toward the center. Next, use command blocks to repeatedly summon a bunch of armor stands, each wearing a golden helmet. As soon as they spawn, the water currents carry them straight into the center. The result is a super satisfying flow of armor stands, all converging perfectly in the middle where they'll spin in the whirlpool. Just be careful of the lag though. Can waterlogged leaves save a villager? I encased a villager in a few waterlogged leaves and lit this massive area of TNT. After the explosion, I checked on the villager, and he actually survived. Somehow, tree leaves can protect the villager from a nuclear blast. If a zombie drowns underwater, it transforms into a drowned. But what happens if the giant mob drowns? Since it looks like a bigger version of a zombie, you might expect it to turn into a giant drowned. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. The giant simply dies. With just a chicken, lead, and boat, you can create a void base. All you have to do is attach the chicken to a fence and ride the boat on top. This works because boats are able to land on top of entities. You can also put boat chests to make the most secret base ever. If you use a debug stick in one side of a double chest, it'll create this glitched texture. Or you can debug stick the bottom side of a door to create an illegal door. Minecraft rain doesn't fall from the clouds, it just appears out of the sky. But if you fly up really high, the rain texture starts to distort and turns into strange white lines. This is so weird. Whenever a raid begins, villagers will rush to ring the bell. However, we control them by setting up trapdoors and lava. Now, start the raid, and as the villagers try to ring the bell, they'll fall right into the lava. What's the lowest field of view you can get in vanilla Minecraft? To get it, set your FOV slider to the minimum, apply the maximum level of slowness effect, and then use a spyglass. You can see miles away with this method. If you create a grid of pistons and skulk sensors, then fire a single arrow into it, you'll create a super unique pattern that makes me happy. It looks super satisfying. But you can even throw snowballs around to mix up the pattern shape. Oh, it's beautiful. If you shoot an iron golem with an instant health arrow, will it get angry? Yep. Even though you're healing the golem, it'll still get angry. This ungrateful golem, die! Oh my gosh, this is so satisfying. If you summon armor stands at the four corners of a whirlpool, they'll slowly drift inward until they meet at the center. As they converge, they form a perfect circular pattern. And once you turn off the command blocks, the spawning stops, leaving the final armor stands to flow to the middle, where they will neatly gather in a surprisingly organized shape. What happens if you eat a chorus fruit in an empty world? Normally, it teleports you up to 8 blocks in any direction, but what if you're standing on a tiny floating island that's smaller than that? It turns out that the chorus fruit is smart. It only teleports you to solid ground, so it will never throw you off the edge. And if you remove the whole island so you're standing on just one block, the chorus fruit can't find anywhere safe to send you. In that case, it just fails, and you simply eat the fruit without moving at all. Adventure mode makes it impossible to break blocks. Well, sort of. If you begin breaking a block in survival mode and then switch to adventure mode, attempting to break the same block shows the animation. However, you won't actually be able to destroy the block, just the animation plays. This surprisingly also works in spectator mode and should not be in the game. What's the highest fall you can survive from without any armor? On normal grounds, the limit is just 23 blocks. But if you fall into a pool of lava, you can fall from 44 blocks up. Beds reduce fall damage by 50%, letting you survive a fall from 45 blocks. Want to fall even further? Honey blocks and hay bales reduce fall damage by 80%, allowing you to drop from a whopping 100 blocks high. Since creepers are scared of cats, we can trap them inside this no block floor and add a few cats inside. The cats will chase the creepers around and create music as they run. This must be what fear sounds like. Can you use a piston to place the final block of the wither? If you build the body, place the skulls first, and then try pushing the last soul sand block with a piston. The wither won't spawn because the skulls always need to be placed last to spawn it. Alright, but what if you try pushing the final wither skull with a piston instead? That doesn't work either. The piston just breaks the skull. The trick is to use a dispenser. If you put the last skull inside and dispense it onto the soul sand, the wither will successfully spawn! Lava and boats don't mix. However, if you hold out a warped fungus on a stick, nearby striders will come towards you, and you can ride your boat on top of them. While this isn't quite riding on lava, it's the closest thing you'll get in survival. Create a giant floor of skulk sensors, then place a layer of pistons directly on top. If you throw a single snowball at the edge, it triggers the sensors and pistons, sending out a beautiful ripple effect. When the pistons retract, they make noise that reactivates the sensors, causing a repeating wave across the entire build. And if you start tossing snowballs randomly, you'll get bursts of waves rippling in every direction. It looks incredible! With commands, you can spawn a Thorns 255 pumpkin. Now when a golem attacks you, the thorns will actually kill it. You can even put thorns on a banner, and once equipped, it'll work too. Will a healing arrow heal you if you have half a heart? Release the arrow and nope. But if you wear a leather helmet, it will protect you just enough and the healing arrow will work. If you threw an invisibility potion at a shulker, the outer shell would vanish, but its creepy little face stayed visible. By spawning 3 of them on top of soul sand and making them invisible, you could make what looked like a bizarre bootleg wither. But in version 1.21.2, Mojang patched this. Now when shulkers turn invisible, their entire body disappears, so no more floating faces. They made the change so map creators could use shulkers as invisible collision boxes without that odd head showing. Is this block 3D or 2D? At first, it looks like there's a floating note block in the corner of the room, but something feels off. When you walk backward, it looks even stranger, almost like it's not supposed to be there, but it's actually just an illusion. Get closer, and you'll see it's just 3 note blocks cleverly placed on the walls and ceiling, tricking your eyes into seeing a floating cube. This is how you can share a bed with a villager. Normally, breaking a bed with a sleeping villager wakes them up and makes them leave. But if you break and place a bed at the same time in creative mode, the villager will keep sleeping, and you can click on the bed to join them. It doesn't look very comfy though. Check this out. I've got 2 pistons extended on the same slime block. If I turn them both off at the exact same time, which way will the slime block go? Left, right, or just stay in the middle? Surprisingly, the slime block doesn't get stuck at all. It always gets pulled to the right side. However, Minecraft redstone is locational, which means that redstone behaves differently depending on its coordinates in the world. So if I rebuild this setup somewhere else, the slime block might shift to the left instead. This is so weird! This is how you break your shield in 0.1 seconds. Just summon a warden and give it strength 255. Then switch to survival mode. Hold out your shield and watch as the warden shatters it in a single hit. Ah! Which spreads faster, oxidizing copper or grass blocks? Since copper takes ages to oxidize, while grass spreads pretty quickly, you'd think grass would win every time. But copper doesn't rely on being next to another oxidized block. Any copper block can randomly oxidize on its own, no matter where it is. That means the very last copper block could finish oxidizing before the first grass block even spreads once. So depending on luck, sometimes grass wins, and other times copper pulls off a surprise victory. You can break Minecraft's moon. This is one of the craziest bugs I've ever seen. It happened in older versions of Bedrock Edition when you set the time to negative. Doing so caused the moon to glitch and show all sorts of weird textures from glowing rays to all the moon files at once. I actually prefer this. By placing down 2 snow blocks in a pumpkin, you'll get yourself an accurate snow golem. With the accurate golems resource packs, snow golems look like they're block forms here, and it's pretty cursed. The same thing happens to the iron golem, and the blocks even start to break down as it takes damage. The wither also isn't safe from the transformation and looks just like a pile of moving blocks. Although this is technically more accurate, I prefer the original designs. When you look into an Enderman's eyes, it'll become enraged and charge at you. But what if you're looking through glass? The Enderman won't react. Mobs can't see through glass and treat it like any other opaque block. This also works with trapdoors, fences, and even tall grass. However, if you look through water or lava, the Enderman will notice and get angry. I have no idea how it sees me through lava. Can you bounce on a slime mob? We know slime blocks make you bounce and stop fall damage. So does the same thing happen with a slime mob? It look almost the same, so it sounds like it should work. But when we test it out, yeah, not at all. You just take full fall damage. Mojang really should add this as a feature. By creating a canvas of cauldrons, we can use water, lava, and snow buckets in order to create pixel art. Do you like my self-portrait? Say it looks cool now! Most crops have a limit to how much they can grow, but not twisting vines. They can be bone mealed all the way into the world height limit and are a great way to quickly climb upwards if you're in the middle of nowhere. Ever wondered what the inside of a bee's nest looks like? If you switch to spectator mode, click on a bee to see from its perspective and wait for it to enter the nest. You'll quickly find yourself kicked out and unable to peek inside. Darn it! Did you know that most mobs actually have a hidden hand slot? With commands you can give them items, even ones that never normally hold. So of course, the big question is, does a totem of undying work on them too? Give one to a pig, and even though you can't see it in its hand, the totem still activates when it dies. Pandas can hold it too, though they'll spend half the time trying to eat it, and sure enough, the totem saves them. And it gets crazier. It even works on the wither, which is awesome, if not a little terrifying. There are some exceptions though. For example, dolphins immediately throw away any item they hold, so the totem never has a chance to work. But the ultimate test is the Ender Dragon. And unbelievably, yes, even the dragon can be saved by a totem of undying. What happens if you splash a fish with a level 100 jump boost potion? Normally, jump boost makes players and mobs leap way higher than usual, But a fish on land doesn't exactly jump, it just kind of flops around. So when you throw the potion, nothing happens at all. The fish just keeps flopping at the same tiny height as before. It doesn't matter if it's a pufferfish, salmon, or tropical fish, they all completely ignore the effect. Why is my head like this? Normally in Minecraft, your head can only move so far, but with the pitchy mod, it disables the limits for how far up or down you can look, so you can completely turn your head. It makes doing loops with an extra elytra possible, which is quite cool from the first-person perspective, but it looks kind of freaky looking from third person. Will Thorns 1 million work on a shield? The answer is pretty strange. When a zombie attacks and you block with your shield, the Thorns enchantment doesn't trigger. But once you lower the shield, the zombie instantly dies. That's because just holding an item with thorns can affect mobs. Even holding a regular Thorns chestplate will damage mobs when they attack you. Wolves try to kill skeletons, but will they attack a skeleton horse? When you put them all together in the same cage, the wolf will kill the skeleton first, but then just leave the horse alone. Check out this tiny sleeping villager. With the attribute command, you can shrink the villager while it's lying in bed, and the results are super funny. At 0.5 scale, the villager looks just like a baby villager taking a nap. Shrink it to 0.2 scale, and it starts looking like a little action figure. Drop it down to 0.1 scale, and it's so small you can barely even see it. And if you go all the way to 0.01 scale, the villager turns into nothing more than a speck of dust, something you might actually sleep on yourself. Oops! You've probably seen a water whirlpool, but did you know it's possible with lava too? Start by digging 4 blocks in the center, and then dig 3 blocks out in each direction. Pour the lava, allowing it to flow toward the middle. Now, throw netherite items in the center, and you've got yourself a netherite lava whirlpool. If you try to place an axolotl inside of a mangrove block, it'll end up just getting placed above it. However, it's actually possible to put the creature inside. Just place 2 mangrove blocks like so, fill the top one with water, and place the axolotl bucket in the bottom mangrove block, and it'll end up inside the top one. This works with all kinds of fish as well. Can llamas spit through different obstacles? Even though llamas look passive, they're actually neutral mobs, meaning they can spit to deal damage. But what kinds of blocks can stop their spit? If we test with weeping vines, the spit passes right through. With a cobweb wall, the same thing. Even a wall of lava doesn't stop it. The spit still flies right through and hits you. However, a solid block like glass panes will stop the llama's spit, and it won't even try to spit at you. What would it look like if you had a firework with every single effect on it? Normally, there isn't a way to do this, as we can only put a maximum of 7 firework stars on a rocket in survival mode. But by using commands, we're able to obtain a special rocket with so many effects that they can hardly fit on the screen, even with your GUI scale turned down as low as it goes. So I'm sure you're wondering, what does it look like when we set it off? Well, if you're expecting the most beautiful firework you've ever seen, then be prepared to be disappointed. Instead, it just spits out a bunch of ugly, multicolored particles all at once, making a nonsensical mess of color that would just be a waste of resources if you could actually craft it. However, it does make for a pretty good weapon, since every effect makes a firework deal even more damage. This will satisfy your brain. When you build an iron golem, the blocks shatter apart and the golem forms underneath. Take down the golem and it collapses back into scattered pieces, almost like it's dismantling itself. Destroy an anvil, and instead of simply disappearing, it crumbles into shards right in front of you. Breaking solid blocks like diamond, gold, or iron will also explode into shimmering fragments, each one bouncing away in a way that makes your brain feel so good. This is all done using the physics mod. You can break Minecraft with just a trapdoor. Although a fairly simple block, there actually isn't a limit to how fast you can open and close it. So by using an extremely fast auto clicker, you can toggle the trapdoor and create a super loud sound. The same can also be done on bells to create a ring that can be heard from miles away. This machine dishes out instant karma. When a pillager tries to shoot a villager, its arrows hits a target block, which triggers a dispenser that fires back and kills the pillager. You can even use it yourself. Stand behind the target block, and when a skeleton shoots at you, the dispenser activates and gives the skeleton instant karma. How are these rails floating in the air? There aren't any barrier blocks or anything in between, but it was done using sticky pistons. Minecart rails can be elevated if you pull up the middle rail. It looks pretty cursed and is a pretty harmless way to break Minecraft. If a zombie's head stays underwater for 30 seconds, it turns into a drowned. But what if you give it a water-breathing potion? Will that stop the transformation? After waiting, the zombie still converts into a drowned, so water-breathing doesn't save them. What if every pixel in Minecraft was an entire block? Well, that's exactly the question that Nuba sought to answer, and they did, by building this entire island at 10 times the scale of a normal Minecraft world. Well, technically it's 16 times, but that's not important. Anyways, at this size, a single large block contains 4,096 regular blocks inside, so destroying this one oak log will probably give you more wood than cutting down an entire forest. What's extra special about this map is that it's actually completely beatable, with a giant nether build and a giant end build, complete with a dragon to defeat. Even though there are plenty of resources at your disposal here, actually playing this map all the way to the end is sure to be a huge challenge, literally. Can the end portal break the nether portal? Pretty much any block you place inside of an end portal gets completely deleted when the portal gets activated. But there are certain unbreakable blocks that can't be obtained in survival. So are these also broken by the portal? We'll place every type of command block, the nether portal block, and hey, why not a literal end portal frame? As you can see, when the portal is activated, every block is destroyed! Unfortunately, it doesn't drop these blocks in item form, so they're still unobtainable in survival. Here's how to break a flint and steel instantly. With command blocks, you can constantly replace the stone blocks in front of you. Angle yourself just right, hold down right click, and the flint and steel will break almost instantly. Did you know villager raids can start in the end dimension? Most people think raids can only happen in the overworld, but this isn't the case. To create a village, all you need is one bed and one villager. Then if you get near it with the bad omen effect, a raid will occur, and pillagers will spawn for you to take down. However, this feature gets even stranger. If you create a village in the nether and then start a raid, nothing will happen here. So pillager raids only work in the overworld and the end. What happens if you summon a creeper with a totem of undying? Since a creeper can only explode once, you'd think the totem would save it when it blows up. But if you give one a totem with commands and let it explode, nothing happens. The totem doesn't trigger at all. That means Minecraft doesn't actually count the explosion as a death. And it makes sense, because exploding creepers don't drop gunpowder or experience either. Who will win? One warden or 100 zombified piglins? The battle kicks off with the warden striking down a noisy piglin, and instantly the rest of the piglins come running towards the warden. The warden is only able to attack a single mob at a time, so eventually all the piglins will bully the warden and defeat it. This illusion will mess with your head. At first glance, the world looks completely normal, but when you turn to face this direction, you'll spot a staircase leading upwards. If you enter it and actually walk up the stairs, you'll suddenly fall all the way back down to the entrance where you started. This mind-bending effect is created using the immersive portals mod. Can iron golems see invisible zombies? Golems will normally come after and attack zombies. However, if you splash a zombie with invisibility, the golem will just ignore it. Well, until the zombie attacks him. Then the zombie will get destroyed! By dropping an emerald inside a cage and giving an allay an emerald, the allay will get trapped inside trying to retrieve it. You can also drop an emerald under some lava, and the allay will burn itself trying to fetch it for you. Or my favorite method to torture allays is creating this simple water loop and sending the allays running in circles for all of eternity. Regular stained glass still lets sunlight through, which means zombies and skeletons burn just like normal. Only tinted glass is able to protect undead monsters from the sun. But what if you stack stained glass over and over until it's so dark you can't even see through it? Surely that should block the sun, right? Well, even after piling up more than 20 layers, leaving nothing behind but a pitch black void, the zombies still burn. No matter how many layers you use, stained glass will never stop the sunlight. All that glass, completely wasted. This trap is 200 IQ. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a simple button on a wall. But press it and boom! You've triggered a TNT trap. Here's how it works. Place a TNT block, then an item frame with a button on top, and put map art inside the frame. If the map art perfectly matches the stone texture, it hides the TNT completely. So when one of your noob friends tries to open the iron door, they'll just blow themselves up. Alright, who am I kidding? No one is falling for this, but it's still kinda cool. Slimes can already get pretty small if you split them in half, but unfortunately after splitting them twice, they can't get any smaller. But by using the attribute command, we have a way to create a slime that's so microscopic, you might not even notice it's there. This little guy is literally smaller than a single pixel, and if you had him on grass, you honestly might mistake him for a grass particle due to how small he is. This sand will kill you! In an early version of 1.14, if sand was placed on an entity, the mob would then no-clip through the ground. Testing it out on yourself, you'll see that it makes you sink right through the ground until you're killed by the void. It's like entering the back rooms. Another way to perform this glitch is just by pushing a block into an entity. It's a pretty cool way to break Minecraft when it's not done on yourself. If we use a command to summon this Enderman with a boat on it, we're actually able to ride it! And better yet, whenever the Enderman teleports, we get teleported along with it, meaning he can be our personal teleporting taxi cab! Although you can't exactly tell him where to go, you kinda just along for the ride. Yeah, my base isn't in this direction, buddy. Are you tired of Minecraft's boring physics? Well then, you need to try the Minecraft Physics mod. It brings in crazy ocean physics, making boat rides way more exciting. And even tiny ponds look stunning. Burning down villages is a lot more satisfying with all the smoke physics. Even snow is fully overhauled too. It's thick, leaves trails as you walk through it, and feels a lot more real. Breaking blocks now leave behind chunks, which makes explosions feel incredibly satisfying. Cave vines even sway out of your way as you walk through them. But the best part? Mobs go ragdoll mode when you attack them. I just found a new way to draw in Minecraft. It's with villagers. You see, by running this command, you can make villagers spawn right in front of you, and you can write all sorts of things. Although it's quite difficult to create something beautiful, it's quite funny seeing all the villagers just floating around in the sky. What's even better is that you can swap the villagers out for any other mob like creepers or even happy ghast. Drawing with happy ghast is especially cool because you can walk on top of their solid hitboxes after you're done. Check out my basketball hoop. It can launch mobs right through the rim. Just don't use a rabbit. It won't survive the fall. Try a chicken instead. It'll keep getting launched through the hoop over and over for the rest of its life. This is the fastest way to build a nether portal. By using a bunch of waterlogged stairs and dispensers filled with lava, we can have our portal built in a single press of a button. Now, is there any point in doing this? No. The time and effort it would take to build the machine is way harder than just building it some other way. But hey, it's pretty cool to watch it happen. Can an Enderman teleport across the world border? You can test it by shrinking the border, replacing the floor with water and placing the Enderman on a single block. Then break the block, and the Enderman will teleport outside the border. But can it walk through the border to attack you? If you stare at the Enderman from the other side, it'll charge at you but get stopped by the border. However, after a moment, it'll just teleport through and finish the job. Did you know that if you give a piglin a diamond chest plate, it'll wear it? But if you toss it a gold chest plate afterward, the piglin will swap out the diamond for the gold. However, there's a twist. If you give a diamond chest plate enchanted with Curse of Binding and then throw the gold chest plate, the piglin will just hold on to the extra golden chest plate in its other hand. Look at me! I'm sleeping during the day! Well, this is actually a Minecraft trick with beds. If you place 5 snow layers, then a minecart, and finally a bed on top, you can hop into the minecart and your character will be completely hidden under the bedsheets, making it look like you're sleeping. Or you might also look like a severed head resting on a pillow, which is a little creepy. Can this tiny creeper army kill me? I made them tiny using the slash attribute command, and as they got close, they made regular-sized explosions, but ended up exploding each other in the process as well. I'm still alive! What is the smallest gap you can walk through? We can easily fit through 0.9 blocks, but how about 0.8 blocks? Yep, still works. At 0.7 blocks, it starts getting tight, and by 0.6 blocks, we can't fit anymore. But if we increase it to 0.61 blocks wide, we're able to just barely fit through the gap. You can recreate this in survival mode using walls, fences, and slabs to make a tight gap you can just barely fit through. This is Russian roulette inside of Minecraft. Just stand on the middle platform and eat a chorus fruit. You'll have a 50% chance to land on a pressure plate or be safe. Let's test my luck. If you shrink yourself, can you drown in a cauldron? Using the scale attribute command, you can shrink down, but when you enter the cauldron, you'll pass right through the water like it's not even there. You somehow won't drown in this water. What is the fastest way to step upwards in Minecraft? Normal stairs let you climb 1 block up per 1 block forward, but with this clever setup using slabs, chests, bells, glass panes, and cakes, you can move 3 blocks up for every single block forward. These strange blocks make up a surprisingly effective staircase, but it gets even crazier. Players can only step up 0.6 blocks high, but camels can step up to 1.5 blocks. So with this insane staircase design, you can ride a camel up it, and you'll step up a total of 16 blocks for every 1 block forward. This is insanely quick, but feels so cursed. Most players spawn the wither like this, but you can actually spawn the wither sideways, flat, and even upside down. The upside down version is especially cursed because the skulls aren't even touching the soul sand. Check out this dancing iron golem. By setting up a redstone clock, you can make an iron golem statue that never actually spawns. The pistons keep pushing the body and arms back and forth, so they never line up correctly. The result is a super cursed statue that looks like a dancing iron golem. Will piglins attack copper golems if they open their chests? Normally, if a player so much as touches a chest near piglins, they'll get angry right away. But if you spawn in a copper golem and let it do the sorting, the piglins won't attack at all. What's funny is that when copper golems were first tested in early Bedrock previews, piglins actually did see them as thieves, and would swarm warm the poor golem the moment it tried to open a chest. By generating a custom super flat world, we can make an infinite surface of a sculk sensors, which looks really trippy. They activate with every step and create these wavy circles around anything that moves. Wherever your arrows land, whenever you place or break blocks, it's awesome!